What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Guys, we're back in Sweden. My guy Andrew Austin, who we here with. Guys, if you know how to get in touch with Andrew, I tried to hit him up maybe a year ago or so, but trying to get him on the podcast. Been trying. So if you see him walking down the street, anything, say, hey, Dar trying to get you on the podcast, man, because I know it'll be a great conversation because he's one of the ones, especially early on, Sweden, that I learned a lot from, that you guys recommended. So definitely want to do a podcast with him. And so he's also teaching. So I think that would be cool because y'all know I'm teaching now as well. But Andrew Austin, 5 things I never see in Sweden. Checking this out, seeing what it's about. Y'all hit that subscribe button.
Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew coming at you, and here are 5 things I don't see in Sweden. Now, these are things that I might see every once in a while, but overall, I typically don't see these things in Sweden. Number 1 is going to be kind of surprising to me, but I realized it recently because we had some lightning. So I want to say in all the years that I've lived here in Sweden, I think maybe only I can count on the one hand the times I've actually seen lightning. Now, there's been a few years where I've gone to the States in the summer, and you're typically going to have lightning in the summer. But over the last 2 or 3 weeks in Linköping, Sweden, we've had an insane amount of rain. And I actually saw lightning. And it was at that moment I was thinking to myself, wow, I typically don't encounter lightning. Where in the U.S., at least where I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, there were thunderstorms all the time. I used to grow up and I loved sitting outside and just watching the thunderstorms on my porch, not standing under a tree or something. Yes, I used to go ahead and do that, and it was something that I very much enjoyed. And that's one thing that I just do not typically see in Sweden.
I think that's interesting because, like you said, I'm used to a thunderstorm. I'm used to seeing lightning. I'm used to, I never thought about that. I've seen different videos, how much it would rain or how much is raining in certain places in Europe. I never seen some lightning. That's interesting.
Number 2 has to be homeless. Now, I must say that in the United States, growing up, I typically see a lot of, well, not all the time, but when I would go into Pittsburgh for football games, hockey matches, I would typically see homeless people or people outside, begging for money or asking for money. People that kind of fell through the cracks in the system. Yeah, I'm sure there were some people that were just doing it to try to make money, but I think for most part, it's just people that have fallen through the system. And I think in the United States, most people that end up becoming homeless are typically veterans of war, actually. Yeah. So it's kind of sad they come back and maybe they don't get the treatment they need. And then they just eventually fall through the cracks and then they end up on the streets, which is really, really sad. Now in Sweden, we have Roma people, but that's a completely different situation as that's a group of people that have been around all through Europe. But as far as people that are homeless that have fallen through the crack in the Swedish system, again, I'm sure if you're in Stockholm, maybe I would see it much more. But in the town I'm in, I don't typically see it. I think I've seen a homeless person one time in all the years that I've been here. And I think in Norrköping, maybe I've seen it a couple times. But I think for the most part, people don't fall through the system nearly as much. It does happen. I'm sure there's people that are homeless that get into a very difficult situation, whether it's a marital issue or something happens, and they're not able to get help super quickly. But I don't think they're as homeless as long as you would be typically in the United States.
Yeah, because I know here, your major cities, and it's always in the downtown area, major cities, especially in Texas, you can go to Dallas, even Fort Worth, Houston, San Antonio, Austin. You will see a lot to the point where it almost seems like it's like homeless neighborhoods. That's how sad it is. You just see a bunch of tents laid out and everything. And I know for sure in Austin, you stopping at a red light or even a stop sign, some of them, they will come up, try to clean your windshield for you just, to get some extra change or something, some of them will just clean it for free just to, see if you're going to, basically, I guess, we have the tipping culture, some of them, but it's sad here Cause it's a lot. It's a lot here in the States.
As if I remember correctly, after COVID, Los Angeles and other cities got hit really, really hard with homelessness, and yeah, it's a real issue because if you don't have a home, how can you have a job or be able to hold down anything else? Number 3, this is something that's going to be interesting, but it's just something I typically don't see in Sweden, is multiple TVs in a house, and I think this might be more common, where this is more of like a baby boomer, maybe Generation X thing. Gen X thing. I don't think millennials typically have as many televisions in their house, but growing up in the United States, it wasn't weird to have a house with maybe a TV, maybe in one instance, I'll say if you're like a kid growing up, like I was, and you play video games, you would try to have a TV in your room. That makes sense. But if you're just like one person, you don't have a TV in like your living room and then maybe a TV in your bedroom because you might want to watch TV there late at night. It's just not something you see anymore. It might have something to do with like mobile phones, but I noticed just in general, most people in Sweden just have one TV in their house. Again, if they have kids, it makes sense. They might have another TV or an extra screen where they can play video games on. But you won't typically find people that are just using more than one TV for their type of entertainment. Mostly people will just keep the TV to the living room and not have as much distractions. Although, unfortunately, the phone is like probably what people tend to use as a screen anymore in the bedroom. But yes, it's just something you don't see anymore that I never really see in Sweden. No.
And I know the phone. Your phone pretty much is a TV. Just about, you can do and see anything on your phone. But yeah, I know growing up for me, we had TVs in the living room, like I said, bedroom, because we played video games. But at my dad's house, we only had, I don't even know if we had a TV in the living room. I know we had like a room, you know how people have like a theater room. We have a room called like a media room. I don't even know. I still to this day don't. It's just a room where for entertainment, basically. Like you go in there, you have your TV. That's where I play my video games at when I went to my dad's house. But other than that, bedrooms, he did not. Living room, I think we ended up getting a TV in the living room. And I think he might have had a TV in his room. But us kids at my dad, we did not have a TV in our room. We had one room that was designated for TV and stuff. But my dad was military, so he was military structure minded and all that stuff as well.
Number 4 is going to be like tipping culture or feeling pressure to be tipped. Like I do get asked for tips in Sweden, but it's like only if you're at a restaurant that's like a little bit nicer, and when you're going to pay, it puts a prompt up for you to tip. I guess you can make an argument that's in a sense a little bit of pressure. If someone's like the person that you're paying is like right there, you might be like, I need to pay. But you don't have to, and I don't think the worker's going to care. See, because in Sweden, the workers that work at restaurants tend to get a really nice salary and not need to rely on tips. So people tend to not tip, or if they tip about 10%. Whereas in the United States, at least when it comes to service, I don't think tipping's necessarily a bad thing. I think there's a happy medium, actually, where workers could get half of what they get in salaries and half of what they get in tips, so that if they do have a non-busy day at the restaurant, they're still going to be doing okay. But I think getting tipped does do an incentive for better service. As I always say, that the service in the United States is way better than what I've experienced in Sweden. And I always fundamentally disagree with this because in my opinion, you come to a restaurant, and I've worked at many restaurants, so this is how I feel. You come to a restaurant, you sit down, person takes the drink order. When they come back with the drinks, they take the food order. And then they give you the appetizers or the food. And then very shortly after the food comes, or right then in that moment, you either ask if they need anything else, or you come back and you ask how the food is and if they need anything. And I just typically never get that flow in a restaurant here, and I think it probably has something to do with the fact that maybe fewer people work at the restaurants, but also maybe there's not as much of incentive to work that way because of not needing to rely on tips. So yes, it's just something I've noticed, but of course it's great that they get a salary. I'm happy for them. I want people to live better, so I think there might be a happy medium, but it's just something that you don't get bothered with. Like in the States, a few times where I go, they're asking for tips for everything. You're going to Starbucks, you're going to this place, you're going to that place. Everywhere. And then suddenly you're asked to tip a ridiculous amount that you're starting to nickel dime, and then you realize, you go, hey, wait a second. Why am I paying this person's salary? Why isn't their employer paying this person's salary? So
that's what I be, because most time I don't even like going out to eat, because I'm like, I got enough money to get the food. I don't have enough money to leave this tip. Because don't get me wrong, I tip because, like I said, I've been a waiter before. I worked at a restaurant, so I've tipped before. But like he said, I can just go in for pickup and I get that prompt for tips. I do deliver people groceries and stuff through Walmart, so Most time people leave good tips because it's the convenience of being able to get your groceries delivered to you. Like, and DoorDash, I remember seeing a lot of DoorDash, I think this past month, that people were leaving tips and the drivers getting angry and all that. And I was just like, just switch the app. Because there's better apps with people that tip good and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's a convenience thing. Because you see, like, there's so many delivery services now. And most of the time, you're making more money off of tips, not even that platform. And that's just here. I don't know the delivery services in Sweden, but I know here we have a lot. And everything is off tips. Like, most of the money I make doing deliveries is off tips. There's never off the, well, sometimes it's off the platform, off Walmart, but other than that, it's tips. America, like, tips. There's people that realize, okay, I could have did this, but I got somebody else to do it. It's just tips gonna, I'm sure people gonna eventually start catching on, like, hey, tipping gonna probably be everywhere eventually, because extra money.
Okay. Why am I paying this person's salary? Why isn't their employer paying this person's salary? So I think in the States, the tipping culture is getting a bit ridiculous. I remember last time I went home to the States, I didn't have any U.S. cash yet, and I was at a hotel, and there was like a hotel takes me directly to the airport. And so the time came to tip, and I didn't have any money to tip, and I didn't have a U.S. based thing to tip. I didn't have like Venmo or something like that. So it was like an awkward moment, but it was also a moment where I'm like, well, it's a service from the hotel, like. That's kind of annoying. So it's funny how being out of my system a little bit, I had those type of feelings when it came to tipping culture in the States sometimes being a bit ridiculous. Number 5 thing I like never see in Sweden are like prescription drug commercials. And I always forget this one until I go back to the States. I see it all the time. And then when you're away from it for so long and then you see it on the US television, it is like crazy. Like you're watching this and you're like, wow. The commercial's like, go talk to your doctor about this drug. And to me, that's like so ridiculous. You're just at your doctor's office. You're like, hey, I heard about this drug. I'd like to take it, please. And the doctor's like, okay, yeah, that sounds pretty good. I get some kickbacks if I send that to you. I'm not saying that all doctors are that way, but like it should be the other way around. Your doctor should be talking to you about medication and making those decisions for you. And these commercials are just flooding people with all kinds of stuff. And then always when they go over the side effects, it's like scary. It's so scary, you know? And,
it's always, talk to your doctor. This could cause kidney failure, liver failure. There's a lot of failures of things that you need.
I just remember all the commercials over the years of like, I'm trying to think of one, like herpes medication over the years. They would have like these commercials of people like rock climbing and like doing all this amazing stuff to make the drug, like make it seem so much better. And a lot of all these commercials this way. And it's just the marketing around it is ridiculous. So in Sweden, yes, I never really think about prescription drugs here because it's not on the television. I'm not like, watching the news and suddenly they're like, talk about this drug, talk about that drug. It's just like, if you go to a doctor and you need a drug, they're going to tell you need a drug. And that's...
And these commercials, these commercials are the longest commercials too. That's the crazy thing. You pretty much can watch a 3-minute commercial.
Talk about that drug. It's just like, if you go to a doctor and you need a drug, they're going to tell you need a drug. And that's probably why it's not like a multi-billion-dollar industry here in Sweden when it comes to drugs. So that's all I got for you guys. I had fun making this one. It feels good to be back making some content again. So if you guys enjoy this one, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you are new to the channel, it would be awesome to have you subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.
This was good. Hey, though. Yeah, definitely gotta like. Make sure y'all go and like this one as well. But now, it's so different. It's so different, especially like I said with tipping culture. It's so many services now, delivery type of services like restaurants. You like, unless you're going to get your food picked up, you still gonna get that little tip. You gonna leave a tip here, type of thing. But nowadays, if you don't want to go to the restaurant, you just want your food delivered, tip. Everything is tipping. That's why I said, like, most people make their money. I do deliveries. Most of my money come from tips. And it's not even tips that I just say, hey, you got to pay this. It's just tips for people using the service. And now most people do have some ridiculous things, like almost driving, 20 miles and nobody leave a tip. Somebody would probably be like, nah, I'm not doing that. But yeah, tipping culture is major here. And I think it's going to get bigger because there's so many services where you don't have to leave your house now. You just need some extra money, and most times the delivery services, they charging like $10. So just imagine they charge $10 extra to what you already got, and then you have to leave a tip. That what gets me a delivery fee plus a tipping fee. So it's crazy. That's why I say I just got to get up and do it. But that's all I have. This was great. Like I said, make sure y'all subscribe to Andrew channel. Hit the subscribe button and give that video a like. That was good. I never thought of those things either, especially the thunderstorm, the lightning and stuff. So, but y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you. I'm out.